Hi, this is Simon from HomeKit News, and this week we're looking at two new products, both from Yeelight, the A19 filament bulb and the ST64 filament bulb. Can these take on Philips Hue versions? Keep watching to find out. Before we start looking at these two new products, Yeelight and HomeKit News have teamed up to offer a giveaway of one each of these bulbs. So if you fancy trying your luck, click on the link in the description to enter the giveaway competition. Good luck, and let's get on with the unboxing. So as always, we'll start off with the unboxing, and first in the firing line is the ST64 or ST19, a pear-shaped bulb with tinted clear glass by Yeelight obviously, and it's a filament style bulb. It works with Google, HomeKit and SmartThings, although it should also work with IFTTT, Amazon, as well as their own app and the Mi Home app. On the side of the box you get an overview of some of the features, which to be honest are pretty standard for a smart bulb, but here they are anyway. So it's a 6-watt bulb with 500 lumens, a clear tinted glass design, adjustable brightness, remote access of course, and it uses 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi and as such doesn't require a hub. We'll come back to this bulb in a short while, but for now we'll move on to the A19 filament. Now once again this works with the same platforms already mentioned and has much the same features, and although this is a smaller bulb using the same amount of watts, it is actually brighter, topping out at 700 lumens, which is a fair amount brighter than the Hue equivalent. It should be noted that whilst the A19 can work with both 110 and 220 volt systems, currently the ST64 is only available as a 220 to 240 volt model, although hopefully Yeelight will be releasing one suitable for North America soon. Having a closer look at the bulb, given that it's largely made of glass, it's pretty well protected, and just like the Hue model, this Yeelight version is very retro looking. Now as it's HomeKit compatible, it comes with a HomeKit QR code printed on the base, so there's no much chance of losing that. Now if you look, you can just about notice that the glass itself has an amber tint to it, and as it's clear glass you get to see the filaments in all their glory, which means this is designed to be seen. We'll put this to one side now and have a look at the A19 and see how that differs apart from size. So once again decently packed, and the base is just like the ST64 with a HomeKit code printed on the base. And unlike the previous bulb, the glass here isn't tinted at all, and they are different in size of course. Now the arrangement of the filaments is different for each product too, as can be seen here. Of course it really depends on what uses you might have for such bulbs that are meant to be seen in most cases, but of course it also depends on if you like that turn of the century look. Let's have a final closer look at both bulbs before we start testing them out. The ST64 has an E27 fitting and currently is only suitable for 220 to 240 volt regions. It has a diameter of 65mm or 2.52 inches, with a total height being 160mm or 6.3 inches. The A19 is listed as having both E26 and E27 fittings and is suitable for all regional voltages. Now in terms of size, it's fairly standard, coming in at 60mm in diameter with a total height of 110mm. As I'm using some Hue filament bulbs at my home, it's a good idea to have a look at any differences that there might be. So first of all, the Yeelight doesn't need a hub. There is a slight difference in the colour temperature and lumens, and of course there is a noticeable size difference. The Hue can only dim to 10%, whilst the Yeelight can dim to 5% and possibly lower. Other than that, they do look similar. I'll be honest and say that I do prefer the pattern of the Hue filaments though. Onto the A19, and I only have standard bulbs to compare it to in this case, but you can see that the size is pretty much standard. Now the only differences you'll see is that the standard bulb has a frosted diffuser, with the Yeelight version being clear of course, and there's more bulb than base with the Yeelight, with the base for the standard bulb taking up a lot more room in this case. Onto my simple test for dimming capabilities, starting with the A19, and we're going to start at 100% of course, before we go down to 75%, then down to 50%, and you can see a slight difference there, and then down to 25%, and then from there to 10%, and finally 5%, and actually you can actually seem to go as low as 1%, even though it's not listed. With the next test, I'm going to do the same again, but use a comparison with the Hue at this time. So we'll start off at 100%, then we'll go down to 75%, and down to 50%, followed by 25%, then down to 10%, which is the Hue's limit, and we'll go to 5% for the Yeelight, and you can see a slight difference there. As the Yeelight bulbs are HomeKit compatible out of the box, I've gone ahead and added them as normal, so I won't show you the installation procedure, but as you can see the bulb is present in the Home app. Now as this doesn't do colour and only does one colour temperature, warm white, you only get to see the basic brightness slider with no colour or temperature controls, but you can see that the slider works as expected to adjust brightness levels. If we now hop over to the Yeelight app, you still only get the basic brightness controls, although you do get some presets that may allow you to get a little more functionality out of the bulb if you want to. So along with the brightness slider at the bottom, you do get some preset brightness levels, as well as a preset called Flash Notify, which gets the bulb to flash a few times, as well as a preset called Candle Flicker, which simply makes the brightness of the bulb fluctuate to mimic the light from a candle. Now while these aren't exposed to HomeKit themselves, you can set these up to work with Siri shortcuts. So to wrap things up, we'll go through the pros and cons for both bulbs. So both use Wi-Fi, so there's no requirement for a hub unlike Hue products. They also work with Mi Home, so that means you can create automations that include non-HomeKit devices as well. Both bulbs can go lower in terms of brightness than the Hue equivalents, although admittedly by not much. Whilst the ST64 isn't quite as bright as the Hue equivalent, the A19 is a lot brighter at 700 lumens compared to the Hue's 530 lumens. Of course, price is a factor here, and the Yeelights are cheaper on both counts. In terms of cons, I'll admit I prefer the design of the Hue Filament, and in general I do like Hue products a lot, but that's a personal thing. And finally, with Hue, they do offer Bluetooth for their new range of lights, but this also precludes those bulbs from working with HomeKit, so it's not of much use in this case. So that wraps things up for this overview of the two products, but please do head over to homekitnews.com to check out the in-depth reviews for each product. Thanks again and see you soon.